everyone, I'm Evelyn Tan, an influencer in quality engineering, to bring you another lessons on how to apply quality engineering tools and concepts to be proactive in achieving consistently good quality products. So, let's get started.
Design of experiment is a powerful and versatile tool which will produce wonderful results if used properly. It could help to maximize sales figures, manufacturing process yield, optimize critical parameters in a product, and so on. Throughout my years of interaction with many organizations, there are very few who truly know the correct methodology on how to conduct the experiment, to design properly, analyze, and also interpret the results to lead to a useful conclusion which can use to enhance a business revenue. In this video, I shall share on what is the basic concept in design of experiments and its approaches. The first step to understand design of experiment is that we will need to define what is a process. A process consists of a series of actions which transform process inputs such as information or materials into a process output or key metrics, or known also as response. Process input is actually can be termed as the X or factor. There are two types of process input. One is controllable and another is uncontrollable. Therefore, we will need to divide all the potential X into controllable and uncontrollable factor when we are conducting experiments. So in this example of packaging delivery, where delivery time is the results, that means the shorter the time that is delivered to the customers, the better it is. We have identified that in this example, we have identified there are two controllable inputs, which is the route itself, which route is the best, and also the weight of the packaging. How will it impact the delivery time? And uncontrollable factors or inputs could be the weather conditions, which we cannot control, and it will not be discussed for the time being in order to have a simplified explanation on DOE. However, actually, once we identify the uncontrollable factor, we can mitigate the risk as well accordingly. In any given process, both process input and output are actually related to each other, which the process input X will have an impact on Y, and we will need to take certain actions to improve or to control the X's in order to have a better Y and lead to the results that we would like to have. Let's go back to our package delivery example, where we would like to determine what are the X that could potentially impact the Y here. So what we will do is that we will select the potential process input X controllable input, maybe the routes, and also the weight of the packaging and how it impacts the delivery time, which is Y. So in route itself, we would like to try out several routes, which is known as level in a factor, route A, route B, and also different weights. It could be 0.2 kg, 1 kg, and check if there is any significant impacts on the delivery time, and what is the best setting for the weight and distance to achieve the best or the lowest delivery time. So in order to find out all these things, we will need to conduct an experiment, which is a procedure to establish the relationship of X and Y, the cause and effect. The cause is an X, and how it impact or affect Y, which is the results. In the next few slides, we will go through the common methods of experimentation, which includes the best guess method, or known as trial and error, one factor at a time, and also statistically designed experiment to establish that is used to establish the relationship or to find out how the process input factor X has an impact on the process output, which is the results and response. Best educated guess method, or known as trial and error method, is actually the common approach in experiment. In this method, the experimenter will guess the levels of each factors, or what type of levels or what type of items in each factors, which might yield a desirable results of the response or results. The experimentations will continue, keep on guessing what is a level. For example, in this process input, is it route A or route B or route C? And also different weights in order to get the response. And until the goal, the experiment will continue until either goal is met or experimenter has run out of resources to conduct the experiment, because experiments actually needs money, material, times, and patience to conduct. And eventually, the downfall of this method is that you will have a lot of inconclusive results, which could be based on perception and not proven. And it also leads to an unreliable results. The second experimentation methods, which is more organized, is known as one factor at a time. In this type of approach, we are comparing different factors and how it impact the results through a one factor experiment studies, where we will vary only one factor at a time and also fix the rest of the factors. The objective is to identify the differences among the levels, or different in different levels of a factor. So in this example, our package delivery example, we would like to know how does the route and the weight, which is the process input or factors, will impact on the delivery time, which is the Y, or the response of the experiment. So in this case, there are only two factors which needs to be studied, where we will vary the route and then fix the weight, or either we vary the weight and then fix the route to check which one has a bigger impact. In this type of experiment, it is good if we have only one or two factors to study. However, if we have more than 3, 4, 5 factors, or sometimes up to 8, 9 factors, it is very tedious, and we have to conduct many rounds of experiment. So we shall look at the next experiment approaches, which is the best known as design of experiment. So What is statistically designed experiment, or known as DOE, is actually a methodology of planning and conducting a series of experimentation runs with controlled changes in the inputs X in order to observe or identify how it changes the outputs or the response or the results. The experimentation runs are actually conducted with multiple control factors at the same time, and it can be controlled at 2 or 3 levels of the factors, and is designed into a table, and the experiment is run. Later on, regression analysis or a modeling technique is used to identify what is the significant factors which could have an impact on the results, and also how to set these factors which has an impact to an optimum level to achieve the desirable results through modeling. And we can also predict the future results using this type of modeling with different types of X. So the purpose of performing this type of experiment is actually to identify the cause and effect relationship between the inputs and outputs. And generally, there are several experiments that needs to be conducted to establish the complete cause and effect relationship between X and also Y. Basically, the DOE experimentation and the result analysis is actually function like a funnel. So we started with investigating large numbers of potential X, the process inputs, and determine which is important, which has significant impact. So this stage is known as screening, that we wanted to identify what are the potential X that has the biggest impact on Y among the many. And next is that we want to investigate the relationship of X, because sometimes X could interact with each other and give a different results. And we wanted to understand this through analysis and also statistical modeling, and also check our assumptions to ensure that the modeling is correct. And lastly, once we understand all these things, we would like to reduce the X, which is, we only focus on X, which is important, and we will start to optimize all those important X's to get optimum results in Y, where we will use some kind of prediction profiler to get the best setting, and also a confirmation run to validate the results. So it starts from screening, characterization of the factors X, and also finally the optimization. In this slide, I shall summarize the design of experiment approach, where we will need to identify or clearly define our goal of why, what we wanted to track, or what is our desirable results, the key metrics, and also the potential inputs that impact these results, and also validate on how we are going to measure the Y, as we need to collect the data as we run the experiments on different types of combination of X. And finally, we will design the experiment itself. Next is that after design the experiments, we will determine and run the experiments to collect the data and conduct a modeling on the data and reduce the factors which is more important, and then validate on the model reduction, the screening, and also the prediction, the characterization, and optimize the factor setting and confirmation runs to ensure that the setting is optimum and set correctly and can repeat it again in the in the next experiment, which to validate that this is a true optimum value which will give you the best results. DOE is actually a sequential experiments which you will require rigor, discipline, skill, and also a good statistical software to analyze the results. You will need to have clear objective on what you want to achieve, a good data collection infrastructure to ensure that the data collected is reliable and correct, and also a powerful statistical analysis software. If this is run correctly, it's well worth the effort, which will give you a fantastic return on all your hard work, that it will give you the answers that you are looking for, such as what are the inputs or what are the factors that could impact your outputs or your results, and also how to optimize them, and is there any interaction, and it can even helps you to identify and mitigate those uncontrollable inputs that actually could also cause an impact on your output. So an experimentation actually involves the process of learning and building what you know, and we will get to where we want to be and use it to grow our revenue.
Do give me a thumbs up if you like and have benefited from today's video, which is especially prepared for you to hack into the key areas to achieve good results. Please do subscribe to this channel to get notified on the future video, and appreciate if you can leave a comment on what you would like to learn. I would also appreciate if you can share this channel with all your friends. Thank you, and see you in my next lesson. Bye.